I am so appreciative of the next person who's coming up of my entire family, but this is my sister Sarah, who's closest to me in age, who gave me incredible support when I was younger and still today. She's been a role model for me. She taught me so much about everything as a kid. She was is a great big sister. She's now a professor at U of M and has 3 beautiful children and is a published author herself. So very big shoes to follow in. But for a tiny person, she's 5'2" and I'm 5'10", but I'm still following in her footsteps and trying to be my best self because she's really taught me a lot about discipline and being your best self. As we just talked about, being creative. She's a wonderful person and she is a wonderful actor as well. I don't know how she fits it all in, but she is sharing her voice today in a book that's written by another wonderful woman, Jennifer Michael Hecht. Her book Stay, A History of Suicide and the Philosophies Against It, is just a phenomenal woman who has done a lot of research into a topic that most of us don't want to talk about, but we have to. And her book and her everything she said in it really changed my life and really changed how I looked at my own thoughts about suicide. And I have my semicolon tattoo because I've had that moment when I wanted to end my sentence in my life, but I've chosen not to. And this is a reminder that I'm strong enough. It's a reminder that I've been here before and I survived it. So for me, that was really helpful. But really, I think that we need people like Jennifer Michael Hecht to also share the history and share her opinion. So here is my amazing sister, Sarah Hemsel, with one of our last pieces today. And she's reading from Stay, A History of Suicide and the Philosophies Against It. Thank you for doing this, Sarah.
We've seen that throughout history, various authors and institutions have taken steps to influence people away from suicide. Our own era needs such influences as well. Many of the techniques used in the past do not make sense for us today. We certainly would not want to threaten people with post-mortem exposure or torture. For us, knowing our history may be most valuable as it shows us the broader context of our troubles. Clear as it is that suicides can cause more suicides, it is clear that talking to people about rejecting suicide can help them reject suicide. Ideas matter. To stem the awful rise of suicide in our time, many things are surely needed, from easier access to health professionals to a general rise in economic security. Yet some of the problem can be addressed by talking about it. We need to actively reject suicide and get this into our collective minds by reading it, speaking it, and hearing it, both one-on-one and in large communal settings. We sometimes need to be reminded that life is where everything happens, all forgiveness and all reunions. We can forget that we live in a web of significance and emotional interdependence with hundreds of other people. Sometimes the web is subtle, even imperceptible, but it is real. We forget to thank each other for staying. People can feel isolated in their dark thoughts, and learning that all of humanity suffers at least some of the time from such thoughts can help us to feel less alone. Let us consider one last time the version of human existence depicted in Rembrandt's painting of Lucretia. She had been wronged. She is deeply troubled. She is contemplating suicide, but she is still alive. There is something magical about this moment. She is in a state of inestimable significance. If we follow the logic set out by Kant or that proposed by Wittgenstein, a person choosing to die or to live exists in the very crucible of human morality and meaning. Certainly, it is a frightening thing to think about, but it yields fascinating insights about what it means to be human. From a practical standpoint, too, it makes sense to give thought to these issues. If we try to suppress the whole subject, if we quarantine suicide from our consciousness and from public conversation, we run the risk of suddenly confronting it, alone and unarmed, when we are most vulnerable. It is much better to remember that this is part of the human experience and to avail ourselves of the conceptual barriers to suicide that have been provided through history. When we cannot see our own worth and are tempted to leave life, We are doing a shining service to our community and to our future selves when we choose to stay. If there is one factor universally recognized as a route to happiness, it is to be of use to others. When you're tempted by suicide and you make the decision to reject it in part for the sake of community, you may gain some of the happiness that derives from simply being of use. None of us can truly know what we mean to other people, and none of us can know what our future self will experience. History and philosophy ask us to remember these mysteries, to look around at friends, family, humanity, at the surprises life brings, the endless possibilities that living offers, and to persevere. There is love and insight to live for, bright moments to cherish, and even the possibility of happiness and the chance of helping someone else through his or her own troubles. Know that people, through history and today, understand how much courage it takes to stay. Bear witness to the night side of being human and the bravery it entails, and wait for the sun. If we meditate on the record of human wisdom, we may find there reason enough to persist and to find our way back to happiness. The first step is to consider the arguments and evidence and choose to stay. After that, anything may happen. First, choose to stay.
Thank you so much, Sarah. That's my big sister, you all.
Yeah.
She's wonderful, and that book actually truly changed my life. The idea that we all know that our actions impact others, and as much as we say in America, especially, free will, free will, free will, we only have so much free will, right? I mean, when you lose your job, or when there's a pandemic, I mean, all of a sudden everything changes, and what we find is that people who can adapt quickly to the changes tend to do okay, right? But there are some of us who it's really hard to adapt and go with the flow, and some are just honestly more sensitive than others, and we need to be aware of everyone's sensitivities, and I think we need to really reach out to each other during these times, especially because it is such a hard time right now. So I want to thank everyone who's been part of the show tonight. We just have a couple songs here coming up by just one of my favorite performers ever. Speaking of people like Carrie Newcomer and Krista Detour, and everybody on this show has just been such a gift. But this is a person who I have never met in real life again, who I grew up watching on my TV screen. I've been doing theater for a long time in Bloomington, Yael, but you may not know I've been singing and acting since I was probably 2 or 3 years old. And I used to sing and, make music all day and all night, and sometimes get in trouble for it. I still do pretty much. But I always loved shows like Saturday Night Live and Whose Line Is It Anyway? And Letterman, of course. But the quick wit of Whose Line Is It Anyway is what really captivated me. And I think it was on Friday nights for a long time. So I always had to watch it in real time, when the new one came out. And then one day, very recently, through a weird Facebook wormhole, much like I met Vahan, I discovered that someone I knew had taken a workshop with Laura Hall, the piano player from Whose Line Is It Anyway? And I clicked on the links and discovered she's not just a cheerful improv piano player. She is a real singer-songwriter herself. She's been making music during this pandemic time. Like most musicians I know, it's been keeping us sane to create and to try to entertain other people, because we know how others are suffering, and we want to tell everyone that you are not alone. So I was so happy to find Laura Hall and this song, and I thought it would be perfect for the concert. And I thought, I'll message her. She may not see it. She's not my friend on Facebook, but yet. But she wrote me back the next day and said she'd love to be a part of our lineup for this Out of the Darkness concert. And along with all of you wonderful performers, she said yes. Yes, I'd love to be part of it. And here we are. So it is with glee that I introduced Laura Hall, and the song that she's going to be singing is, do you want to share the title of that song with our audience, Yael?
I would indeed. Here is Laura Hall singing Talk to Each Other with her husband.
We're all holding our breath, waiting to see what's next. Cynical and stressed, we never could have guessed this would be how it would all end. Full of fear and doubt, when we open up our mouths, we're yelling loud, even when we don't know what we're shouting about. Now we have become imprisoned by our own division. Can we talk to each other even when we disagree? Talk to each other, you and me. Can we treat one another as we want to be treated? We won't be defeated if we talk to each other, you and me. Sirens wailing over the hill. We're waiting still, wondering what will become of all our worries that fill our nights with bad dreams. Nothing is as it seems. All these mad schemes reduced to memes and endlessly repeating themes. The ground is slipping out from under our feet. We lost the place where you and I meet. Can we talk to each other even when we disagree? Talk to each other, you and me. Can we treat one another as we want to be treated? We won't be defeated if we talk to each other, you and me. Let's stop calling each other names and let's stop pointing fingers and blaming. We can't agree or disagree. That doesn't mean we have to be enemies. Can we talk to each other even when we disagree? Talk to each other, you and me. Can we treat one another as we want to be treated? We won't be defeated if we talk to each other, you and me.
The rain.
Hi, everybody.
Hey there.
It has been raining in Southern California, so we thought we'd sing a song about rain.
Someone told me long ago, there's a calm before the storm. I know it's been coming for some time. When it's over, so they say, it'll rain a sunny day. I know, shining down like water. I wanna know, have you coming down on a sunny day.
What did you think of that? Wasn't that wonderful?
That was a lot of fun. I always like that tune, and I love their little duet. That's adorable.
Really nice harmony.